All right, Shalom. This is your brother Nahalia from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word, in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name, Rakah is spirit, Kodash is holy, Akyam is brothers, Akwath is sisters, Shalom means peace, and Yashar Allah is Israel in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. All right, now I want to go into a lesson through the spirit based on this video that's been circulating of Bishop Nathaniel, who's the founder, as it says on the front of the magazine, of IUIC. All right, now I want to highlight something in the spirit that ultimately, everybody is coming back in their lot in these last days. Let's deal with it. All right, so let me start off with this. All right, this is John chapter 6 and verse 44. And no man can come to me except the Father which has sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. Now, I'm highlighting a point of the last day and what the last day would entail. All right. I also want to grab this. This is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 13. But go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. Now, keep in mind through the spirit that as we think about the time we're in, the Lord is raising us up in these last days. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. Ultimately, everybody's being raised up, to stand in their lot. Now you keep in mind that when Yahweh Shai first came on the scene, he wasn't the popular one, so to speak. It was the Sadducees and the Pharisees. And then Yahweh Shai gained traction, momentum through the works. Many of Jake started to believe on Yahweh Shem Shai, and that Yahweh Shai was Hamashiach through the works. But when he came on the scene, you had the Pharisees, you had the Sadducees, you had the scribes. These were the men that were renowned amongst our people, similar to how the rappers are renowned now. This is why Yahweh Shai made certain references, because that was the climate that he came into. Likewise, in these last days, you're going to have these situations where guys are using the scriptures to exalt themselves, using the truth to make them of renown instead of making it about Yahweh Shem Shai. These things are going to happen. All right, now, not to say that this is the same thing, but I'm just highlighting a point that was happening back then, and it's going to happen again through the spirit. All right, now, Lord willing, Bishop Nate uses this opportunity to actually teach the truth, because ultimately you can't do nothing against the truth. Whether you're Israelite or not, you can't do nothing against the truth. But again, we're in those times where, just like in the ancient world, you had Israelites who knew that they were Israelites, but their whole drive was to make themselves a reputation. All right. Unlike Yahweh Shai, his work spoke for him. Matter of fact, let's go to that, man. Let's deal with that. Because when you look at this is pretty much right on schedule. All right. This is pretty much right on schedule. Just like the elector being sealed. All right. Everything else comes with that. A lot of times we focus on, the elect, but everybody comes back in their lot in these last days. The scoffers, the ones that said, raise it. The ones who stuck to their guns that Hamashiach didn't arrive yet. That Yahweh Shai wasn't Hamashiach. All of them are coming back. And it's playing itself out in a different era, but it's still the same spirit. All right, now real quick, I want to highlight something that Yahweh Shai was. All right, the example he set forth. All right, this is Philippians chapter 2 and 5. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who, being in the form of Yahweh Shemel Shai, thought it not robbery to be equal with Yahweh Shemel Shai, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. All right. So Yahweh Shai could have easily, used the works and everything else to exalt himself. But he said, I was about my Father's business, and that shows something. That shows something very important, especially in these last days, that you're going to have guys who come in and they're going to use the truth to elevate their own status. It happened back then. It's going to happen again. And that's nothing new. All right. These things happened back then. They're going to happen now. As the elect are sealed, understand everybody's waking up to fall into their lot. Even the ones who were close enough to the truth. Because you think about the landscape Yahweh Shai was in, you didn't have to teach Jake that they were Jake. They already knew that part. Paul was sent forth to reintroduce Jake, who was in those heathen customs, back to the walk. But in the land of Judea, when Yahweh Shai was walking the earth, they all knew that they were Israelites, but everybody was moving a different type of way. You had those who knew that they were Israelites, but they enjoyed the high seats, the high places. Let's get that. This is Matthew 23 and 3. You know what? Let's go to verse 2. Saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one finger. They will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feast, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. Think about that, right? Visualize that in the ancient world. What Yahweh Shai is saying, because again, it was something that he was saying that was relatable. That means it was happening during that time while he was saying it. Men who loved those high seats, but they sat in Moses' seat. They sat in a position of authority amongst the nation of Israel. So just like in those days, in these days, that same spirit, because history is just us in a different time period. So everybody's coming back into their respective lots, even in these last days. And it's beautiful when you look at it, because ultimately they can't do nothing against the truth. None of these guys that come in and use the truth for their own benefit, for their own reputation, they can't do nothing against the truth. Whether it's through strife or it's through sincere edification, the Lord is glorified regardless. The elect are going to be sealed regardless. But this is just a part of the movie. A part of the movie is that not only are the elect going to be raised up, but everybody in between. All right. And I just wanted to highlight this, not to say anything in particular about Nathaniel in this situation, Bishop Nathaniel in this situation, but to highlight that spirit of exalting yourself, using the heritage and the culture and the truth, is nothing new. And just like the elect are being sealed, guys like that are going to come in and they're going to do exactly what they did in the ancient world. They knew which way to walk, but they chose to exalt themselves above, being a servant unto Yahweh Shemel Shai in truth and in sincerity. And that spirit is nothing new, and it's all coming back. All right, let's go here. Because basically at this point, because 2/3 have cleaved under black culture, they have their own princes. And that's the Meek Mills and the LeBron James because those are the captains of this culture, that the so-called black culture. When the ancient world, when us being Israelites was the culture, the rabbis, the scribes, the Pharisees, these were the guys that sat in a position of authority. And they had similar fame to the guys that rap amongst the nation of Israel. So now as our people come back to their heritage, You're going to have those who do that. They're going to use their positions, to exalt themselves. All right, real quick, I want to go here. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 30. All right, and it reads, "Exalt not thyself, lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy soul. And so Yahweh Shai discover thy secrets, and cast thee down in the midst of the congregation, because thou camest not in truth to the fear of the Lord, but thy heart is full of deceit." Because you have those that put on as the servants of the Lord, but really their intention is to be the man they couldn't be in the world. And that's going to happen. That's just a part of the journey. That's just a part of the movie. And this is just like a edification on it, because again, these things are going to happen. And as vexing as it can be, understand that this is a part of it. Just like during the time of Yahweh Shai, the scribes and the Pharisees, the wicked ones, that is, because Nicodemus was a Pharisee, but he wasn't wicked. He was just he was a part of that group, that class. But you had those, just like in these days, that used the truth and the culture to exalt themselves. That's nothing new. But ultimately, Yahweh Shai is going to be glorified one way or the other, because the elect are going to be sealed regardless. And it ought not to be so with those who follow Yahweh Shai in truth and in sincerity. Yet, everybody has a role to play, right? Let's go to Proverbs 16. Because when you look at our apostles and elders, when they get on the other camps, it's really about the doctrine. It's about the doctrine. That's why Yahweh Shai said all the things that they say, he will say and observe, because again, they were telling Jake to do things that they themselves weren't going to do. But when you look at our apostles and how long they've had this interaction with the camp like IUIC, it's always been about the doctrine. It's always been about the doctrine. When they were talking about Jake being bums, our apostles and elders being bums, our apostles and elders were replying with doctrine. What is the MOTB? Things that are of importance concerning the flock, which highlights another important point. All right. So this is Proverbs 16 and 1. The preparation of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All right. Now jumping down to 33, the lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord. So the Lord divvies out these positions. All right. The Lord divides and gives men lots. Just like the elect, they aren't the elect of their own volition. The Lord chose those spirits, those vessels, to receive mercy amongst the nation of Israel. The remnant shall return. Likewise, you have 2/3. You have the scoffers. You have, those who abuse this truth, who take the truth and try to exalt themselves and become a name amongst Israel, not for the service of the flock, but to exalt themselves. That's just a part of the journey. All right. Just like during the time of Yahweh Shai, those things are coming back, because history is just us in a different time period. All right. Lord willing, we're a part of that number of the elect. All right. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.